Hello there, welcome to the Tangible Music Reviews, where we're here to help you find your favourite album to be. So today we're going to be reviewing a full length by Millie and Andrea, and the album is called Drop the Vowels. Now, given that that's not their actual aliases, Miles and Andrea are formed by two producers called Miles Whittaker and Andy Stott. They're actually label mates on a label called Modern Love, and they've frequently done releases together between 2008 to 2010, so they're no strangers to each other's work. With this release, it's quite different to what they've been doing prior. It's a much more experimental product. The way this opens up is a very disassembled composition of a medley of vocal, almost tribal-like sounds and conversations that you can't quite make out what's going on, and then goes into this sharp, industrial, random medley of sounds. So at the very first instance, you're not quite sure where the full length is going to take you. As it progresses now, you hear the industrial metallic sounds forming together to make a rhythm, a very skippy and very vibrant rhythm to say the least. And then I feel this sets you up for the track called Stay Ugly, and it's called that for a reason once you hear it. If this track had a visual identity, you would perceive it as ugly. The producers approach the beat in a particular way that most producers would avoid. So it has a purposeful bit crunch, distorted feel, and that's the technique that they've exactly used. With that distortion, it's not for everybody's taste, but there are some out there who would appreciate it. I, for one, like the brave approach that they've taken with this, and it does work. Now, Temper Tantrum now is a very sporadic, very violent production, and if I had to pick one of the songs to summarise the whole album, it would be this one. It's not something that I would just proactively and consciously listen to sitting down, but if I heard it out and about, it would get my adrenaline raised and I would move to it essentially. So it does have its place. And to be fair, it has an element of Africa High Tech in there, and others that have came before who have done a similar thing. So we move on to Spectral Source, which is very similar to Temper Tantrum. More of the same. It has the jungle feel to it, very sporadic with the drums, not a lot of variation. And as I was sitting down consciously reviewing it, I found myself not keeping a great deal of attention, or it didn't stand out to me in particular. So rather than listening to two 5-minute songs, it felt like I was listening to one 10-minute song. So once you get to Corrosive, which is a great track, I'm quite biased towards that one. It's one of my favourites on there, and it stands out a lot compared to the other ones who kind of blend in and almost follow a certain narrative or a certain direction. This one just goes left while the others go right. You've got this juxtaposition with very atmospheric, natural kind of sounds in the background, and then when the melody kicks in, the synths, which are digitalized, very computerized kind of sounds that you're familiar with Game Boys, you know, if you was raised in the 8-bit generation of gaming. So with the last track, Quay, I feel like they're flexing their versatility muscles more so than they have throughout the album. They did with Corrosive, and they're doing so with this one, Quay. It is a very ambient, slow-paced, natural sound-driven type of production. There's a running theme of having the purposely unfinished, raw kind of appeal, which they've done quite well, but I've heard it done better in the past, for example, with Jaipur's productions, or even Jay Dilla, if you're into your hip-hop, with Donuts. What I like about these two producers is that they've gone out their way to be as organic as possible, and I think any producer should endeavour to do the same thing. When you use Pro Tool presets or whatever music production system you use, and you're just using the preset sounds, it's going to sound like microwavable garbage music, and they've gone above and beyond to avoid that. So at The Tangible, we have a particular rating system to give more of a justification and show that we've not just plucked a number out of the air. So it's out of 4 categories, one being the narrative and how strong it is, creativity, technical execution, and a bit of a cheap one, but likability. So for narrative, I've given it a 7, and although there isn't anything as obvious as vocals or lyrics involved in it to directly take you somewhere, the production and the sounds that they've used have been very similar, and they've kept the theme quite strong in that respect. Technical execution, I've given that a 7. and they clearly know what they're doing in that respect, even though they did take some risks, which occasionally did work against them with the organic and natural feel that they was trying to put across. But overall, they did really well, technically speaking. Creativity, I've given it an 8. It is undeniably very creative, maybe a little too creative, you know, it can be warranted as a hard listen, but what they've done in terms of venturing where other producers wouldn't, in terms of the bit crunch feel, the juxtaposition of natural atmospheric sounds with industrial sounds and digital sounds all combined to make one song, is a very brave way to go. Normally producers just go one or the other direction. And likability, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say that will be the same for everybody. It takes a lot of attention to appreciate it to its full entirety. Maybe as some background music when you're out, you know, as an adrenaline booster, you know, it works really well. But in terms of sitting down, doing your homework, or actually listening to it, it might not be to everybody's taste. So I've given this one a 6 out of 10. Overall, that averages out to a 7, a very respectable score once you break it down. But don't let it just rest there. We want to hear what you have to say, your opinions. Do you agree with what I've said, or do you completely disagree? Even join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and let us know what we should be reviewing next. In addition, check out our website, thetangible.net, to keep up to date on the latest news in music. So thanks for tuning in. I've been Juwayne, this is The Tangible. Keep it locked until next time.